Okay, what we're doing now is we're just sauteing some baby portobello mushrooms, getting them kind of soft. I've already seasoned them with a little pepper and plenty of Italian seasoning. So as they're getting kind of soft, I'm going to start adding my shredded chicken from the slow cooker. I'll let that, cook together with the mushrooms. And start adding that in. I don't want to make too much. We'll just see how that kind of looks for now. Stir it up. And I'm thinking that might be enough because I still have some other ingredients to add. So we're going to let that kind of cook up. Heat up. And maybe just a little more chicken. A little more broth. Okay, so as that's starting to get going, I'm going to also add my peas and carrots. Stir them up. And it's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to add some chicken broth. You can use whatever brand you want. Now I'm just going to stir that. See how it's going. Looking pretty good so far. And now we're going to add the star of the dish, the cream of chicken soup. See, I may have to add an extra can, but I don't think so. So basically we're making like a pot pie filling. And since we're going to add the dumplings, you want this to be a little on the thinner side. Not very thick, because the Bisquick dumplings are going to definitely thicken up the sauce. So we don't want it watery, but we don't want it thick. So because for the first dish it'll be fine, but for your leftovers it's going to be really, really dry. So I'm thinking, yeah, we could probably use a little more chicken broth. I'm going to put it in the can so I can get a little more of the leftover soup. My little trick: take a hand, put it over the can, shake it really good. This way you get all the rest of the chicken soup. And so we're going to stir that up a little. I'm going to add a little more Italian seasoning, give it a real savory kind of flavor, and also some more black pepper. Just give it a quick smell. Smells good. Definitely need a little more chicken broth. Because like I said, the first dish, it's it may seem kind of watery, but leftovers tomorrow and the day after, it's going to be really, really thick. Alright, so I'm going to let this simmer for a little while. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to start on the dumplings. Okay, now it's time for us to make the dumplings. I've already added the Bisquick and the milk. Just want to show you my two secret ingredients. I learned the club soda slash seltzer trick from Alton Brown on Good Eats. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there. That's going to supposedly make them even fluffier. It's okay if it's watery. We can always add more flour. Then my other little secret, I don't know if my mother used it or not. I don't think she did. But I put some extra baking powder in there. It's going to make them even more fluffy. So it's going to take a fork. I don't have a mixer, and obviously I don't have a very fancy mixing bowl. Actually, it's, not exactly very manly either. So we just want to mix this up, and you want it to be not watery, and you don't want it to be dry either, because these are going into the stew. So we're not making biscuits. We're making dumplings. So I can already tell that I'm going to have to add maybe a little more seltzer and just a dash more milk. We want it tacky. because we're gonna obviously put them in the stew with the spoon and a spatula. So we want to thin out the dumpling batter, and this should make enough to fill up the whole Dutch oven pan. I know my mother used to just like make, you know, however many to kind of not quite fill up the whole stew. But I know myself growing up, and my girls too, they absolutely love the dumplings, probably more than the stew. So that's why I'm making some extra dumplings. And it looks pretty good. This is kind of the consistency you want. So in a few minutes we're going to go ahead and start putting them in the stew and cook them up according to the recipe. Okay? Okay, so as you can see, my chicken stew, chicken pot pie filling, it is kind of watery, but that, like I said, that's okay. The dumplings are going to, you know, pretty much help thicken it up. So, and I'm not really worried about the individual sizes of the dumplings because they're going to puff up. And like I said, I've got enough to probably fill up the whole bowl. So we're just going to place them, you know, around the outside edge first, and then towards the middle. I used to use a fork. Now I realize it's better to just use one of my stirring spoons. And once they start to cook, you're going to see them really start to puff up. And they're really, really good. Like, I'm starting to see I probably didn't make enough batter. Because like I said, myself and my girls, we absolutely love the dumplings. We can never get enough of them. So this actually is probably not going to be enough. I'm not going to bother making any more. Because these are starting to cook, as you can see a little bit already. So I'm just going to take the leftover and just kind of throw it in there. It's going to thicken up the stew, like I said. And they don't look like much now, but you watch after they start to cook, they are going to puff up, especially because I added the club soda and the baking powder. So, and that's pretty much all the dumpling mix that I have. I wish I had a little more, but like I said, you'll see they're going to puff up really quickly. Unfortunately, my stove does not have much of a low setting, so I'm going to really have to keep an eye on it. The recipe calls for them to cook 10 minutes uncovered, and then another 10 minutes covered. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, as you can see, like I had said, they puff up. So it's been 10 minutes cooking uncovered. So you can see that the pot pretty much is full of puffed up dumplings. So now we're going to go 10 minutes covered, and we'll be back in 10 minutes and we'll see what the finished product looks like. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. I actually did 11 minutes because I just wanted to make sure the dumplings were cooked through. And so you could probably see already that they've puffed up even more. But here comes the proof right here. So there you go. That is the finished product. My chicken pot pie and dumplings.